I am pleading with LeBron as a father. Stop this. Stop this. But this was a flat-out ambush, a drive-by, a premeditated and calculated move by LeBron James to show up Stephen A. in front of the NBA world while giving Stephen A. no face-to-face time to respond.
Boys in the hood.
What if Stephen A. had at least been able to say, LeBron, your son's a great kid, but he can't make threes, and I haven't seen him play any defense yet.
Damn.
LeBron didn't want any rebuttal. No facts. This was just a delusionally, irrationally, insanely proud pop telling off Stephen A. Smith, knowing this debate was rigged.
Skip Bayless reacts to LeBron James confronting Stephen A. Smith. Check out what he had to say, and then I'll come back with my comments.
When Stephen A. first spoke about Bronny, this was on First Take in late January, Stephen A. was exactly right about what he said.
Real talk.
It was a strong, gutsy opinion. I was proud of Stephen A. for taking that stand, but Stephen A. wasn't the only one in the media at that point expressing that opinion. Stephen A. said on his show in late January, this is on First Take, and I quote, I am pleading with LeBron as a father. Stop this. Stop this.
And of course, it was taken out of context. A lot of people thought Stephen A. was disrespecting Bron as a father, but he may have been, entertaining with it by using as a father. But if you kind of read in between the lines, he's basically saying Bronny's playing terrible right now. Had a little stint in the NBA, didn't go well. The G League, it didn't really take off yet. So he was basically saying, as a father, you got to stop doing this. Stop putting him out in the forefront. You know that he's not ready, but you want to play with your son and just everything surrounding your legacy. He was basically calling LeBron out, not as a father, just as, you know what, bro? You got to do something about this. Bronny ain't looking good out there.
We all know Bronny James is in the NBA because of his dad.
Of course.
Period. End quote.
Everybody know that.
You bet. At that point, we all knew that was the case. I mean, come on. At that point in NBA games, Bronny was 2 of 22 from the floor and 0 for 9 from 3. And the 56 minutes Bronny had played up to that point obviously hadn't come in meaningful stretches. Nope. They were mostly in garbage time with the Lakers way up or way down.
Yeah, that's pretty much what Bronny was going to be, a garbage player. Go ahead and play the last 3 minutes. Either we're up 20 or down 20 with a few seconds left. You throw Bronny in the game, so you're not really able to see his full potential, of course. But you can tell when he's in the game, he's a little hesitant, playing faster. He's just not aligned with the flow of the NBA. Playing great in the G League, good for him. But a lot of players can play great in the G League, but how can you transfer those skills over to the NBA? So even at that time, Bronny was playing terrible. Stephen A. Smith commented on it, and he's been looking like the bad guy ever since.
So at that point, as I said here on this show, I was horrified by what I'd seen from this kid because he looked petrified on the NBA floor.
Exactly.
Just the way he'd looked in summer league games, and he played 4 of those. And to think that the night he was drafted by the Lakers with the 55th overall pick, that was in the second round, I truly believed, and I said on television, that Bronny James would soon be the perfect 3-and-D complement to his father in the Laker backcourt, in the big leagues. And I thought he'd be able to hold his own at age 20 and carve out, 10 or 12 good minutes a night in the rotation in meaningful minutes. Then came that summer league.
Yeah, people had high hopes for Bronny coming into the NBA. Maybe he can potentially play at the same time as his father, but we already known after that summer league game and then early preseason games, he wasn't going to be on the court at the same time in meaningful minutes with LeBron and that starting unit. So if you're LeBron James, be thankful you got your son into the league, but Bronny, he ain't ready to play. Even if he's playing much better in the G League, he still has ways to go.
You know, and I know. Bronny just looked lost. He just looked like a scared kid playing among G League men. In those 4 games, he shot 14 of 40 from the floor, and 3 of 19 from 3. I didn't see much tenacity, much fight on defense. I saw Bronny James often just run to the corner and hide in the corner on offense. What?
Wasn't a good
And
look.
when Stephen A made that comment on First Take in late January, Bronny from 3 in the Summer League combined with the NBA games was 3 of 28 from 3. So it was pretty hard at that point to project him as a potential 40% dead-eye, take it to the bank three-point shooter his father needed alongside his father.
Best case for Bronny, you know what I mean? You could be a solid role player, play 10 to 15 minutes per night, try not to turn the ball over. Got to work on dribbling the ball at the court as well. Yeah, you can be that person that just runs to the three-point line or try to be athletic and get a few rebounds. But if you're 6'1" and 6'2", you got to do a lot out there. You got to be somewhat of a traditional point guard if you're Bronny James. So from what I've been seeing in the G League, if he can take half of that over to the NBA, he'll have a solid NBA career for about 7-8 years. But he plays scared out there, even though he's playing much better in the G League.
As Stephen A said, we all know Bronny James is in the NBA because of his dad. Bingo.
Most definitely.
So it was on that fateful Thursday night, March the 6th. Stephen A did something I'm not sure he's ever done. I could be wrong about this, but he sat courtside at a Laker game out here in LA as a fan because his Knicks were in town for their one and only visit to crypto.com for the season.
And don't forget about that historical contract that he signed with ESPN, 5-year, $100+ million. So LeBron knew that it was going to be an historical night and he had to make an historical moment.
Now, I watched every dribble of that game on TV, but what happened between LeBron and Stephen A was not shown, possibly because the broadcast had gone to commercial. This was during a stoppage of play, some kind of dead ball situation, a timeout, a replay review. I'm not sure what it was, but the game had stopped in the third quarter, and LeBron walked straight over to Stephen A.
Planned attack.
Pretty much blindsided him during the game. And according to Stephen A, said, you got to stop talking about my son. You got to stop fucking with my son.
Damn,
That's my
Skip.
son. That's
Skip.
my son, said Stephen A.
Uncle Skip.
Stephen A also said he responded with, let's talk about it after the game. But as he said that, LeBron was turning away and walking back out onto the floor because the game was about to resume.
And then he looked at that camera, coincidentally, just locked in on the camera, walking away. Cinematic pose by LeBron James. But if you're Stephen A. Smith, I'm kind of disappointed you didn't keep that same energy. You went on plenty other podcasts and you was like, I would have swung if you had to, or whatever the case may be. And just talking a lot of stuff like LeBron, it was a weak move. If you would have had half that energy that night, maybe I would have had a conversation. But I ain't gonna lie, Stephen A. Smith folded up. He was caught by surprise, but you got to be mindful of what you're saying. Yeah, you may have said it months ago. Maybe Rich Paul, Clutch Sports try to reach out to you behind the scenes. Who knows? But if you're Stephen A. Smith moving forward, if you're going to talk that talk, at least be able to walk that walk in person. You don't got to crash out. Don't got to lose your money, but at least be ready to have that conversation. If it's a heated convo or a cool convo, got to be ready at all times if you're Stephen A. Smith.
So the entire exchange took, 8 seconds?
A few seconds, in and out.
Now think about this. How weak was that on LeBron's part to choose that time and that place to deliver that message?
It was weak, but more strategic if you're LeBron. Of course, he knew Stephen A. Smith was going to be in the house. When you got celebrities sitting front row, I'm sure the media team, they let LeBron know like, yo, Stephen A. Smith going to be here. Or maybe he knew well in advance. Stephen's been working on his contract for months now. So once he locked in that deal, they had those seats ready to go. LeBron, he had his moment ready to go. Got with his team, Clutch Sports. Got with the people behind Clutch Sports that we don't know about and planned this moment. Strategic, petty move by LeBron, but it was effective.
LeBron knew exactly what he was doing. He knew this one-sided confrontation would be captured on cell cameras and that the video would immediately explode all over the internet. and that lip readers would have a field day, or in this case, a field night.
I wouldn't be surprised if he had people in the stands getting different angles, like people at Clutch Sports, interns or whomever. Go ahead and make sure you get this angle. I'm going to give you that cinematic look. Then I'm going to walk back to the bench and get ready for the fourth quarter. I wouldn't put it past LeBron, but either way, he knew people were going to be filming. Either he knew them or they were fans, and he decided to have that moment. Yeah, he could have pulled Stephen A. Smith aside. I want to talk to you after the game, but why not create this moment? Change the narrative up a little bit and try to destroy Stephen A. Smith.
But this was a flat-out ambush, a drive-by, a premeditated and calculated move by LeBron James to show up Stephen A. in front of the NBA world while giving Stephen A. no face-to-face time to respond.
Boys in the hood.
What if Stephen A. had at least been able to say, LeBron, your son's a great kid, but he can't make threes, and I haven't seen him play any defense yet.
Damn.
LeBron didn't want any rebuttal. No facts. This was just a delusionally, irrationally, insanely proud pop telling off Stephen A. Smith, knowing this debate was rigged.
Majority of it was, you're making me look a certain way in the media. I got this back and forth thing going on with Jordan as far as being the GOAT, and then you're going to question me, bringing my son into the league, and everything that Stephen A. Smith's been saying about LeBron for many years now. Even though Stephen A. Smith, he's been cool and cordial when it comes to Bronny. Didn't disrespect him, walking on eggshells, tried his best to not speak on the obvious, but all his energy was directed toward LeBron. But LeBron, he flipped the script, changed the narrative up, and now Stephen A. Smith, he's looking like the bad guy.
Stephen A. would have no time to respond.
Oh, no.
LeBron hit and LeBron ran.
Yeah, finessed him.
Frankly, that was pretty cowardly.
Yep, and calculated.
Now, I'm sure Stephen A. would have been happy to continue that discussion after the game in the locker room, maybe after the media had cleared out, or maybe outside the locker room, well, after the game, or I don't know, wherever LeBron wanted to meet up. Nope. This was about as fair as what happened in Gladiator room, well, after the game, or I don't know, wherever LeBron wanted to meet up. Nope. This was about as fair as what happened in Gladiator when Commodus mortally wounded Maximus before he had to go out into the Coliseum and fight for his life.
Yeah, again, calculated move. People call it cowardly. I just call it LeBron being LeBron, controlling the media, having alliances there to where he can make these moves, say these things, and people are going to follow his lead. As long as you got Nick Wright, Shannon Sharp, Gilbert Arenas, and a couple other people in media, can't forget about Draymond Green. Bron, he going to be able to run with these narratives, and a lot of people going to have his back in the media. Good calculated move by LeBron James.
So Stephen A. responded to LeBron the only way he could on all of his platforms, along with those of some others.
Run that content.
I don't blame him a bit for that. Now, did Stephen A. milk it for all it was worth? Sure he did. That's the business we're all in.
Oh, yeah, I milked it too. I was making about 30, 40 LeBron videos. So, hey, I'm going to have my opinion. I'm going to talk my talk, just like Stephen A. Smith doing on every other platform and on this platform. And the media, hey, run that content up. Everybody speak on it.
LeBron took his shot, which was a cheap shot. Then Stephen A. fired back with all his media might. Way to go, Stephen A.
Hey, keep running the content, my brother.
Then LeBron bleeping James, all-time leading scorer in the history of the National Basketball Association, stooped even further, got really, really petty.
Oh, yeah.
He chose to go on another ESPN show, Pat McAfee's, the day before the Lakers played at Indy. McAfee's show is based just outside of Indy. LeBron said on that show that Stephen A. is on a Taylor Swift tour run.
Yeah, again, I like the petty LeBron move. Keep it going. Keep running that content. Now, LeBron didn't confront Stephen A. Smith, and then he was just, going on his own podcast run. I think it would have been cool, but people felt a certain way about LeBron pulling up on Stephen A. Smith like that. I had my moments, too, where I criticized him, but I respect the back and forth. If LeBron wants to keep that energy, no matter how the energy was directed toward, he just going to change up the narrative and, confront Stephen A. Smith. It is what it is, but I don't got a problem with LeBron going off on Stephen on the Pat McAfee show. calculated move, go on your ops platform and diss you. Good move by LeBron James in Clutch Sports.
Funny, but a petty shot.
Oh, yeah, it was.
LeBron, you might as well be the tour director for that Taylor Swift tour. You might as well be the rocket fuel, because you're acting far more immature than your 20-year-old son ever thought about acting.
Damn.
LeBron, you took all kinds of personal shots at Stephen A. Tidy whities eating ice cream.
Petty and funny.
I thought all the above or below was so beneath your year 22 NBA dignity. Yeah, Stephen A. took it too far, saying he would have swung on LeBron if LeBron had so much as touched him. But LeBron looked even more foolish reposting that video of Stephen A.'s boxing workout. Womp, womp, womp.
Again, petty LeBron, I'm cool with that LeBron. I'm cool with the back and forth, but just the way that he's directing this energy, changing the narrative up, maybe overreacting, taking things out of context, what Stephen A. Smith said as a father. You know, it is what it is. I have my opinions on that, but I'm cool with a healthy back and forth. I'm cool with a petty back and forth. So the whole Pat McAfee thing, the tidy whities, the Taylor Swift run, I'm cool with that. That was, funny in a LeBron comedic way, but I want to see if this beef can go forward. Not saying in a bad way, just back and forth. You say some stuff, I say some stuff, but after the Kobe comments that Stephen A. Smith made, being trash in the media, you notice that he's slowly falling back. Hasn't mentioned the LeBron beef in the confrontation, and people are starting to move on, but we'll see what happens moving forward with Stephen A. Smith versus LeBron James.